So from performance, we move on to Gillian. So you've been operating in the arts setting for many years.
Oh, many years.
Many years, darling. She gave me one of my first breaks in this town. You've talked clearly about the connection of arts to community. You've had a long history of doing that and bringing communities together. Do you think the arts can simultaneously bring together community as well as acknowledge community diversity? And how is this done?
Well, Kate, I thought you might ask me that question.
Did you? Here's a little something I prepared earlier.
Yeah, so here's something I prepared earlier. I guess I've been asked about my experience, so I don't want to sound like I'm talking about myself, but I guess that's what I've been asked. And that's I hate doing that. For me, what makes us different is what brings us together. And it's interesting that we often talk about diversity being something that splits us apart, whereas in the communities that I've worked with, and not just the GLBTIQ, Scrabble iPad words, communities, but certainly the Chinese community, which I've worked a lot with, the Italian community I've worked a lot with. So to me, diversity is the lifeblood of our and any community. And I think what's been really valuable for me in the last few years, certainly since I've worked for the city, is to step outside, still being very much part of the lesbian community, but to step outside it and work in other communities and see how they work and see that there's actually not a lot of difference. And whilst that may surprise some people, when you think about it, it's not very surprising at all. So my life's work's been about the creative expression of diversity, so bringing together communities through this and mainstreaming our diversity through cultural expression. So whether it's on a personal level or an international level, I've seen it change lives. I've seen experiences at Mardi Gras, at Chinese New Year, at a whole bunch of events change people's lives. The opportunity to move and talk and be with and culturally express themselves with other people that are the same as them. I guess through my work, as I said before, as festival director of Mardi Gras in what seems like the caveman era, and it kind of was. There were 3 women. Kath Phillips was the president, and I pay great respect to Kath. And she brought a lot of women into Mardi Gras in the late 80s. My work with the city, particularly on the Chinese New Year Festival, which is now the largest celebration of the Lunar New Year outside of China. In the bastions of the mainstream, I work with Radio 2UE, believe it or not. I was a regular panellist on Beauty and the Beast with the late and very great Stan Zemanek, who many people were very surprised at me accepting that gig and then him and I becoming friends. But let me assure you that was an incredible performance. And I know it upsets a lot of people, but certainly when I was working at Out FM, it was Stan and 2UE who gave Out FM a shitload of equipment when we needed it. We used to call Out FM rubber band radio until Stan came along. And on a personal level, of course, through throwing my hands up in the air under a mirror ball whenever I get the opportunity. So cultural expression can be a whole lot of things to a whole lot of people. And they're all important and they're all diverse. And I think increasingly what we regard as cultural expression in this community is becoming part of the mainstream. I know there's a long way to go, and I know there are still people that feel outside of this, but I need to just do a little bit of a check on popular culture in the last little while. It was Anne Hathaway who hosted the Oscars the other night, and in about 3 seconds said the word lesbian 3 times. This is something pretty special. Whilst we shouldn't, be so privileged that she did it, the fact that 2 movies, The Kids Are All Right and Black Swan, that had lesbian content were nominated for Best Picture is quite something in mainstream culture. Considering when I was at Mardi Gras about 20 years ago, the best Hollywood could do was the fabulous but very tragic Donna Deitch's Desert Hearts. And before that, The Killing of Sister George, which I think ended up with, was it Shirley MacLaine hanging from the ceiling. On television, lesbians are everywhere. You flick over the channel and it's Sue Sylvester or Ellen or Ruby Rose, when a few years ago it seemed like it was Julie McCrossan or the straight Ellen. or occasionally me or somebody else on the news. Things are changing. Mardi Gras, prior to the development of the cultural festival, was very much the only footage you would ever see of Mardi Gras was out of it, drag queens coming out of the party, you know, on the news on the Sunday night. And I think things have changed. And I think, you know, the same, and I want to bring my work with the Chinese community into this too, to I guess, say that we are not alone. It wasn't all that long ago that the only thing we knew about the Chinese community was really bad lemon chicken revolving on a lazy Susan. So, yeah, yum. So now we have this incredible celebration in Sydney that exposes people of Sydney and people around Australia to the diversity that is the Chinese community. So they seem an odd comparison, but there's a lot in common in this context. They're brought together by their difference to the mainstream. We have been vilified, stereotyped and unprotected by law. And through these incredible celebrations of diversity, I think we're educating and showing people that we are not this amorphous blob of people. We are different people. We are communities within communities. We are tribes within tribes. We are provinces within countries.
She's good, isn't she? She's good. I'm like, the bell's ringing, but I'm kind of like, can I just keep going,
yeah,
Gil? I'm like, so I'm going to vote for you at the next election.
10 more seconds. I guess what I want to say, it hasn't been all clean sailing. There's still a lot to do. There's still a lot of people that feel on the outside. There's still a lot of laws to change. But we are stronger, better and richer for this cultural expression. We are better understood. There's more acceptance in the mainstream, and there's still a lot of people that are exposed to this every day by the cultural expression that we make. The diversity is the essence of who we are, and if we can't throw our hands up under the mirror ball every now and then it's not our revolution. Thanks.
Yeah. Is that your quote or somebody else's?
Somebody else.
I thought it was. Whose was it?
I don't know, but Gail will know.
Gail, do you know
if I can't dance, it's not my Emma
Is
Goldman.
it Armistead Maupin?
Yeah. Emma Goldman, yeah, you're
Emma
right.
Goldman.
It's not my revolution.
There you go.